Hi, my name is Paul Gill. I'm the CEO of Lomiko Metals. Thanks for listening in to our presentation on Lomiko. We are a company that deals with minerals in the new green economy space, and I'd like to show you a little bit about what we do. First of all, our forward-looking statement. There may be statements I make that are a little forward-looking, so please be aware of that. And here's the presentation. What Lomiko works with primarily, and this is slide 3, what Lomiko works with primarily is the graphite, specifically flake graphite from the province of Quebec in Canada. And there's specific demands on this particular mineral that make it very, very interesting. First of all, most of the graphite comes from China at present times and has for the last 20 years. Well, that's changing. China is reducing their production of the material, and so it leaves a great opportunity for new companies to get involved. We see that flake graphite prices have increased 30% over the last quarter, and there is definitely a lot of applications coming out, specifically in the graphene field, which is a formulation that can be made from flake graphite. Our biggest, I guess, news in the last year for this company has been the discovery of a very rich area in our graphite property called the Loutre property. We have a discovery of 110 meters of 14.56% graphite, which is very high grades, considerably higher than an operating mine that's near us. And so we need to discover more of this, just explore more of this particular area. And that's our biggest catalyst for the next little while, is that we are exactly going to do that. We're going to go and drill. We have also going to be doing metallurgy and graphite purity testing. And this will give us an example or an idea of what the value of the material is to the market. After that, we'll upgrade our 43-101 resource, which is a security requirement, and then it will translate into a pre-economic assessment, which is giving us a very good idea of what the economics of the project are. So we're at a very interesting stage. We've already made our discovery, and now we're going on to drilling. Next slide. So the question, I guess, for every investor is Lomiko undervalued compared to some of its competitors? At the present time, I've got a chart here where Lomiko is in black in the background, and some of our other competitors are graphed based on their return on investment over the last year. Well, we haven't been doing very well compared to everyone else, despite our continued development of the project. But what they have been doing that we haven't been doing, they have been promoting and we haven't. So we've got to pick up on that basic front. We need to get out on road shows. We need to go and talk to folks like you about this company, which is a very, I think, good opportunity at this particular level. And that's what this graph hopefully shows, that we're down 50% since the beginning of the year in 2017, but many of the other companies have picked up based on new information from China. So what is the graphite market all about, and why is it so important? Well, the graphite market today is about the size of the nickel market. It's growing year over year about 5 to 6%. In fact, we'll have, I think, a big jump in the next little while, specifically around the concept of graphite being used for electric vehicle battery anodes in the lithium-ion battery and several other types. So here's a sort of a snapshot of where the graphite market has been in the past. The flake graphite makes a small portion of the entire amount of flake graphite provided, but it is the highest return on investment. So that's why we're focusing on the flake graphite. High carbon purity also kicks up the value of the project and the product. a notch as well. So that's why we're looking for that very small sliver of material that is high grade and also flake, large flake. Next slide. So where does this fit into the lithium-ion battery situation? Well, the great thing about graphite, it's used in an anode, and it is used in every type of battery, not just lithium-ion. So it gives it a bit of stability compared to other types of materials in this space, such as nickel or lithium. Also, when you think about it, the amount of graphite in the average Tesla is about 200 pounds. Now that's an amazing amount of graphite, and we're looking forward to seeing more of these electric vehicles on the road because it just increases our market and our demand for the market. There's also graphite in Chevy Volt and Nissan Leaf and all these other ones. So we think there's a bright future for graphite, but no one has heard about this particular opportunity yet or really taken advantage of it. Next slide. So where are electric vehicles going? Where is the growth in electric vehicles? Well, if we just focus on Tesla, for instance, we're seeing a continued increase in the amount of vehicles sold, but that's only for one car company. Extrapolate that over the several other companies which have announced that they're going to go electric, such as Volvo, and BMW has got an electric line out, and Ford and GM also. So that is great news because the demand for graphite is going to have to follow suit. And one of the other things that I didn't mention in the last slide is there's 15 times more graphite than lithium in a lithium-ion battery. So calculate some of the demand with that in mind. Next slide. So not only is Tesla and lithium-ion batteries one of the big requirements, or the area where requirements are increasing, but generally speaking, lithium-ion batteries are getting more prevalent. They're making more of them, and that's good for our situation as well, because it means more batteries mean more demand for the graphite. And that's basically what I'm describing here is the graphite demand. Next slide. So let's take a look at, drill down specifically into Tesla and what the gigafactory that they've made in Nevada and now another one in Australia, I believe, is going to do to the market. Well, essentially in 2013, there was about 35 gigawatts per year of lithium-ion batteries produced. Well, by 2020, Tesla's factory in Nevada alone will produce the same amount of lithium-ion batteries. So that is an incredible increase that will require battery materials, and that's why you're seeing lithium moving in such a fantastic way, and cobalt moving in such a fantastic way, and now that's filtered into graphite as well. That demand for these materials are going up and going to continue to go up. Again, how do we drill that down to and describe what the graphite impact on the graphite market is? Well, if we're looking at an entire graphite market of 375,000 tons of flake graphite material produced, we're going to need about 126,000 tons annually by 2020. So that means that we're going to have at least 5 new mines producing about 25,000 tons a year coming up. There is one going into production now in Australia called Syrah Resources. There's several others that are shutting down in China, and we're looking to see perhaps one in Africa, one in Europe, and a couple in North America. So it's a very good time to be in this market. Next slide. Quebec, Loutre flake graphite property. So we're getting down to what Lomiko's strategy and what Lomiko is doing in this particular space. So we've got a property that's north of the Port of Montreal by about 175 kilometers, or about 130 miles. Very easy to get to in half a day's driving, which is very important to get that product out to market. The property is 2,800 hectares in size. We've completed about 100 drill holes into it, and we're going to do another 25 drill holes in January 2018 to upgrade our resource. The road to the property is built, very important to have access in and out very inexpensively. And it's near one of the other producing mines that's owned by Imerys, which is a large conglomerate of industrial minerals, a group of industrial minerals projects across the world. So that mine has been running for 20 years. It's now running out of ore and going to be shutting down fairly quickly. So we have a great opportunity to replace some of that feed that has been going into the processing plant in this area. Very, very important for Lomiko and for economics is the near surface mineralization. We don't have to dig 40 or 50 meters or 100 feet down to get to the pay dirt. It's close to surface, and we can start at surface and start getting payload out to the processing plant very quickly. Again, that feeds into the fact that it's open pit and it's a large target size, so we'll have a good opportunity. We currently own the property 80%, and we're starting our 100% earn-in through the next drill holes. Next slide. Top line resource of 4.1 million tons of 6.5% carbon graphite. That's very similar to the previous slide, which indicated that Imerys had about 5 million tons of 7.42. Now, if you look down a bit into the highlighted area, at a cutoff grade of 1.5%, we can get 18 million tons of material at 3%, which is indicated, and we have on the inferred category 16 million tons at 3.75%. These all will be upgraded with the newer resource that's going in. Next slide. So here's where the real interesting part is. Our new discovery area has grades of over 10%, which is fantastic when it comes to building mines and being one of the top 5 in the world. This project has to be one of the top 5 in the world to get funded, and we believe we can get there with this particular zone, the refractory zone. As you can see, there's a similar trend to the last zone, northwest to southeast, and we've hit some incredible drill holes, and you can see from the where it says from, that's where the mineralization started to be intersected, and then 2 is the end of the mineralization. The true width of this particular zone hasn't been discovered yet as well. We'll be cross drilling and discovering the exact extent and depth and width of the particular area. But because we have such a long intercept in the bottom blue areas of 100 meters or more, we're very, very excited about drilling in January of 2018. Next slide. So what's our share structure? The share structure of Lomiko currently is 33 million shares out, and fully diluted we'll have 48 million shares. Our market capitalization at present in Canadian dollars is 3.3 million, about 2.5 US. And our working capital at present is about 540,000 Canadian. Fully diluted, if we had all of our warrants exercised, we'd have about 4 million in the bank, and that will more than cover our exploration costs of 1.5 million to get to a pre-economic assessment. So to summarize the company, we're a small market cap company with a big footprint of flake graphite in Quebec in a huge market. We've had Bloomberg come out and say that 50% of the cars on the road by 2040 will be electric vehicles, and we plan to be part of the supply chain for that particular industry. So we think we have a great opportunity, and I thank you all for coming, and I'm happy to take questions in the next little while on the phone. Thank you.
Okay, we're now opening the line for our Q&A session with Lomiko Metals, ticker symbol LMRMF on the OTC here in the U.S. And with us today we have CEO Paul Gill. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Good day.
and we'll jump right into the questions that we have. Our first question, can you talk about the gross profit margins expected once you start mining graphite?
Yeah, it's a very good question. What we've been doing is looking for a particular mining situation that's going to have the best profit margins. What we're going to do is define a pre-economic assessment that will give us that information. And at this point, though, what we're designing the mine to do is to be an open source mine, open pit mine, which will be near surface, indicating that there's going to be a lower cost of development. And so that's what we've got so far, and we've already made discoveries in that area, and drilled. And once we get the pre-economic assessment, we'll be able to talk further about exact economics. At this time, it's a little premature.
Very good. Thank you. And the next question, can you provide investors with some insight into major milestones that they might be expecting in 2018?
That's exactly what we're doing right now, is moving on those major milestones. Number one, in order to define what's in the ground, we need to drill. So we've got a campaign to drill 25 to 30 new drill holes, which will go to about 150 meters or 300 feet down into the area we've already discovered. That will give our engineers an ability to define a resource of graphite, and that graphite will then be tested for carbon purity and percentage of flake graphite in it. Flake graphite is the stuff that we can convert into spherical graphite to use for the anodes of electric vehicles and lithium-ion batteries. So that's where we're at now. Then we deliver on the pre-economic assessment, and we will be moving forward to a mined or not to mine decision. But most likely we will be mining, going forward to a mining decision.
Very good. Thank you. And the next question, I guess, related to that, do you plan to raise any equity to start operations?
Well, we have raised about $2 million in 2017. Our next raise will be in April, after our pre-economic assessment is confirmed. So our main goal for the next 3 to 4 months is outreach to investors. We have a number of road shows planned, a number of publicity events planned, and so the outreach right now is to people who might not have heard about the opportunity, but have heard about lithium and lithium-ion batteries, but haven't heard the graphite story, which is an intriguing story.
Very good. Thank you, Paul. And I guess in summary, you've pretty much, I think, already covered it fairly well here in the Q&A, but just kind of in summary, what's the key takeaway for investors, and why should they take interest in the company today?
Well, number one, electric vehicles are coming. They're going to be 50% of the cars on the road by 2040. So we have a great opportunity. It's just like investing in the Model T in 1915 or something like that. It's like investing in computers in 1975 or investing in the internet in 1990. You know, these opportunities come once a generation, and this is going to be a big one. We are well positioned within that opportunity to provide base materials, graphite materials, to create lithium-ion batteries. The production of lithium-ion batteries is going to explode in the next 5 to 10 years, and we want to be able to supply a lot of those battery makers with our graphite material. We already know this is going to happen because there's such a high amount of interest in lithium producers and lithium juniors that are exploring. But it's misguided to some extent because they don't realize that graphite makes a much higher percentage of a lithium-ion battery. So that's where I think the main takeaway is. You have an opportunity to get in on the ground floor opportunity of Lomiko at this point and really see some growth, exponential growth, I believe, in the next year or two.
Very good. Thank you. And for our viewers, again, this was Lomiko Metals, ticker symbol LMRMF on the over-the-counter here in the U.S. And we were just speaking with CEO Paul Gill. Again, that was Lomiko Metals.